I hear you say that liquor stores are open and compare that to churches. That doesn't make any sense. You're in the liquor store for 10 minutes while you are in the church for more than an hour singing, praying, greeting one another. How come you don't bring up the facts like this?
Well, we try, Keith, to have all the facts on the table all the time. Of course, the best we can with the short time we have. And so I think you're referring to, Keith, that Pastor Nathan is with me here. Our church entered into litigation seeking equal treatment under the law in the province of Ontario. And the same would, of course, apply to every province across our country and many other jurisdictions outside of Canada. But directly to your question here, I didn't know that there's a time limit, how long you can stay in a liquor store, but I hear your point that probably you wouldn't spend so much time there. But I also know, and I do go grocery shopping with Tina and I sometimes, that nowadays liquor is also sold in regular grocery stores, and it certainly wouldn't be uncommon for someone to spend an hour in a grocery store, especially as people go less frequently to shop for groceries. And so the reason I'd make that comparison, Keith, is because I find that there's this stereotypical view that somehow in church we are unrestrained. We just kind of hug and slobber all everybody and loving them, and we just, we're not like that. We folks who believe in gathering on Sundays, we are quite well disciplined. We're able to keep better distance here than I notice that folks do at Walmart or Costco. We're able to keep our masks on. We're able to behave quite nicely, actually. You'd be amazed. And so, again, here, our whole discussion is equality under the law. We want the church to be treated equal to any other institution or business. In fact, our Constitution allows for the church to be treated preferentially. We're not even asking for that. We do have a special provision of freedom to operate a church or a religious group. So I hope that gives you some of my thoughts on the topic. But thank you very much, Keith.
All right, here comes the next question. It's from Tom. What if my daughter becomes pregnant with someone we don't like? It was a mistake by a young girl. Shouldn't we be able to make our own decision about what to do with the baby?
Well, first of all, that's a loaded question. Here, the question, of course, is, Megan, if the girl thinks it was a mistake. But nevertheless, I understand it, and I'm going to treat it very seriously because I believe it's a very serious question. My advice would be, number one, love the daughter. This is the time to show more love when people suspect that you will reject them, that they will be ostracized. It's more time to let God's love flow through. But then the question was about the baby. Isn't it, don't we do whatever we want with the baby? Life is sacred. And I hope that I'm going to try to interpret the question in the most positive way I can. Of course, a baby is not a being that we do whatever we want with. We are entrusted responsible handling of that child. If you're so fortunate to become a parent, as the two of you have recently, that's an awesome responsibility. But that baby is not for us to do with whatever we want. Now, there could be situations where an adoption would be the best option. And I certainly can't give any advice to that. Here, speaking of a generic situation, but I would say if there's any hint in that question that life is not sacred, I think that's a very dangerous path to go down. So I'm just going to finish with that, and maybe, Nathan, you have something to add before we move on here.
Both points. To the first question, I was just meditating about that as well, but I think it's also we want to have a voice in the matter, and we were in our litigation willing to, make provisions to make us even more safe, but it doesn't seem we're being invited to the table to have a voice in the measures,
And I think by doing the litigation we did notice that the Attorney General's office did pay some attention in subsequent policies that they have announced or directives.
Now with the reopening, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.